So welcome to this FlyForm podcast, where we're going to be talking to SJ.
Hey.
How are you today?
I'm all right. I'm good, thank you. Yeah, really good.
It's great to have you here as a guest for our FlyForm podcast. So SJ, tell us a little bit about what you do within FlyForm.
Okay, so I'm one of the engagement management team here at FlyForm. I've been here since February last year. So almost coming up for my 12-month anniversary, and it has just absolutely flown. So I'm part of the team. I'm also lead consultant and currently heading up our delivery team. What that means is myself and a number of other engagement managers and business analysts. We work all the way through the life cycle of the assignments that we have here at FlyForm. And we're doing everything from supporting business analysis, we're doing project management, ensuring that the teams, both our own and client teams, are delivering to time, to schedule, to scope, working with ServiceNow for everything from ITSM, ITBM. We've got lots of really good, exciting stuff happening with customer service management, so CSM, and into the more technical areas around ITOM, so discovery, event management. And we're working with clients, keeping them on track and looking to really deliver the ultimate ServiceNow partner experience for them, hoping to not just deliver single projects, but also, deliver such a good service that they'll come back to us, whether it's that they want the next generation of project or, they're looking to build out and take the next module of ServiceNow because it can do so much. And it's a really great place to be, and FlyForm's a great place to work.
So the true FlyForm values of quality, of customer service, and also in true FlyForm fashion, you wear many hats.
I do, yes. Yeah, I wear many hats. I see my life is wearing many hats, not just in work, but away from work as well. But yeah, we kind of really are, strong, I guess a strong set of portfolio skills. And we can display them on a week-to-week basis or even on an hour-to-hour basis. So we can be doing project management at 9 o'clock in the morning, getting everybody together. Often we'll be running our daily scrum. So getting the teams together, understanding what we've got, what have we done yesterday? What are we doing today? What blockers have we got? How do we need to kind of move things forward? And then, by lunchtime, we could potentially be looking at delivering, some kind of training, or potentially we run an exec session of showing how far we've got from a development perspective. The afternoon, then it might be, looking at making sure our governance is up to date, working with our clients, that we're, talking about the right kind of risks and the issues, and making sure everybody's informed and well communicated. And then in the afternoon, we could be then looking at setting up the next part of tomorrow. Could be that we're looking at, making sure that our customers have got their training documentation together, looking to make sure that they've got their test scenarios in place, or, excitingly looking at closing down a really successful project, maybe handing it off to our managed service team. So making sure that we've done really good, strong knowledge transfer, that they know what they're doing, they're clear about what their accountabilities are and what the client accountabilities can be. And of course, when we're done with all of that, potentially then, going out and having a coffee and just, relaxing after the day, kind of doing a bit of a brain dump and a bit of a lessons learned, or just going out for a pizza and just, being out with friends. So, so much to do, so many different hats, as you say, but, really, really enjoyable.
We're doing a podcast.
Yeah, this is my first podcast. So, when you said, come and do a podcast, I was, great, and then it was like, oh, we're going to film it as well. And I was like, okay. But yeah, so, it's really good. It's great to have this kind of stuff around us, and, shows just what the, what's at the heart of the organisation in terms of innovation and, taking that whole digital content to the next level.
Yeah. And so I'm also aware that you wear many hats at work, but you also have a lot of activities, especially charity activities that you do outside of work. Yeah. So I am aware that you have 3 big events coming up this year.
3Me in 2020. Yeah.
That's amazing. So 3Me in 2020. Tell me a little bit about what those events are.
Sure. So firstly, some people might think I'm a little bit crazy, but there are reasons why I'm doing it. But so this year, April 26th, I'm running London Marathon, so 26.2 miles. I say running. We're going to get round. We might not necessarily be Mo Farah, but we're going to get round. So I'm running that on behalf of mind.org.uk.
Yeah.
And then in August, I will be doing the Prudential Ride 100. That's a 100-mile bike ride from London to London. And I'll be doing that in support of Macmillan Cancer Support. And then in September, so September 26th, which is actually my birthday.
Wow.
I must be mad. I'm doing a 2-mile open water swim, which is swim serpentine. And that's in aid of children with cancer.
Wow, that's amazing. And have you done biking and swimming events before?
Okay, probably the last time I was on a bike, I might have been about 14 years
Wow.
old. So just a couple of years ago.
Yes.
Yeah. So I haven't ever done events from a swimming point of view, and for me, swimming is either a bath or a beach. I don't really do much in between. So these are going to be really challenging things to kind of get my teeth into. But I'm a big running fan, really big running fan. I ran London Marathon last year in support of Macmillan. But yeah, running is my headspace. So I'm someone that likes a challenge, as you can probably hear from the day job, like a lot of my colleagues from an engagement management perspective. But yeah, so I thought, let's get out there, let's give it a go, see what I can do. I've got to do the training for the bike ride and the swimming. So let's just throw in the London Marathon whilst we're doing it as well.
That's amazing. So tell me a little bit about how you love running. What do you feel like when you're there training or running a marathon?
Yeah, so it's an interesting one. If you'd have asked me this 12 months ago, you'd probably get a very different answer to now, because unfortunately, what's happened since London last year is I've actually been diagnosed with hypermobility, which in turn has led to some degenerative issues with my knees, and they've actually diagnosed osteoarthritis. So last year, for me, it was long distance running. This time last year in my plan, I was probably up to about, a regular 14-mile run at the weekend, a 5K and a 10K during the week, some speed sessions. But, leading all up to that training, for me, it was like just getting out there. And it still is, although on a much, much constrained level. It's just the headspace. So, it's getting out there. It's knowing that, you don't need much expensive equipment to go running. You just literally, and I've done this, that people that know me, I've been on a training course. I've literally had half an hour to be able to kind of get my lunch in, or a half-hour coffee break when it's been a virtual session. And literally, I'll finish the training course. I'll stick my trainers on. I'll go out the front door. I'll run a quick sort of like, I'd say a quick 5K, but I'm not that quick. So it'd be more like a quick 3.5K. Get back home, sit down, literally, just as the training was about to start. But yeah, for me, it's the fact that you just put on your trainers and you can get out and you just kind of release. I'm really lucky where I live. I live in West Sussex, so it's quite a rural area. Literally 30 seconds, 60 seconds. I'm on bridleways. I'm on the South Downs link. It's like, really, really awesome countryside. But even so, if it's late of an evening, or as we are at the moment with the winter and that, you just, pavement pound for a few minutes, and it keeps the endorphins going. It's the adrenaline going. And actually also selfishly, it's then looking at the watch, seeing the step count going, I've hit my goal today. I might have been quite sedentary in my life today or this week, or might not got out much, but it's the headspace. So I'm missing that an awful lot at the moment, which is why I'm going to run the marathon for Mind.
Yeah.
So about mental health, and obviously from a work point of view as well, it's about keeping that balance going.
Yeah.
So this year, the marathon's going to be my first and last long run. Doctors' rules say that I'm not going to be able to do long runs again. I certainly can't do the long runs for the training. Probably be able to do occasional 5K, but certainly not competitive. So, I'd be part of a running club. So I'd regularly go out on the runs with them. I'd do 5K, 10K, half marathons. Now it's just going to be for fun.
Yeah.
Running was always for fun. It was just nice to get out and compete against yourself and see where you were from a personal best perspective.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's very different running now. But definitely notice the headspace freedom that it gives me. some of my best thinking I would do on a run, which sounds really daft to then say that actually I'd have a really clear head when I ran.
So like the shower, that your shower is your run.
Yeah, absolutely.
You get good ideas.
But so for now, it's kind of just getting out there, trying to condense that headspace into a 5K run rather than so 30 minutes rather than 3 hours. But that's then when the cycling and the swimming come about as well, to kind of get out in the outdoors. I used to ride horses professionally when I was younger. A bit of a tomboy, really liked the great outdoors. Had a convertible, and the only reason I had a convertible was because I could put the roof down and feel the fresh air and the rest of it.
Yeah.
So it's just getting out there, enjoying the countryside, just a total kind of 180 from being in the office all day as well.
Yeah, so I was actually asking myself because anybody who's had health issues or issues with their knees, and your knees you need them for everything. Once you're injured, you realize
absolutely
how they might limit you, certainly, but you're very resilient, you have some grit, you've gone in there and you said, I still want to do this. And I understand now that you talked about your headspace and really the balance that it gives you with work and the clearing of your head. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
And also tell me a little bit about why you want to help. Why are you doing charity related events?
Yeah. Okay. It's an interesting one. I think, I don't know whether it's the wisdom that comes with age or whether you just see life a bit differently, and certainly with so many things going on in the world as it is at the moment. But for me, I think there's an element of kind of giving back. Now, the charities that I'm running for have got real resonance for us. So last year, my relationship with Macmillan in the first instance comes from my mum having had breast cancer. She's had it twice. As I say, part of the challenge, sort of why I left school as early as I did. I didn't go in. I'd always wanted to be a solicitor. So that was my goal. I was going to be a vet or a solicitor.
Okay.
I don't kind of deal with blood quite so well, so I was going to be a solicitor. So I was going to go on and do that and do my A levels. And unfortunately, Mum got struck down by breast cancer. And we're talking, mid to late 80s at the time. So treatment was very, very different then to what it is now. But there was myself, my younger brother, my dad. We had 11 horses. And Macmillan really just helped us as a family.
Okay.
So a lot of what Macmillan does is they're there for advice. They're there to keep the family and the friends together, whether it be that they're offering advice from a financial perspective, because a lot of people who are affected by cancer, might not be able to work. They might have the worries about, well, how am I going to keep a roof over my head whilst I'm ill? How am I going to keep the family together? So, Macmillan really helped us out that first time round. Unfortunately, my mum then got breast cancer a second time round within the space of about 4 or 5 years, and Macmillan were there again. It kind of takes a lot out of a family to be hit by cancer once, to be hit by cancer twice. And as I understand now, I was younger then. I was still sort of like 16, 17 at the time. Now, as I'm older, I totally understand even better now some of the challenges that Mum was going through. What she felt, the impact from a breast cancer point of view in terms of her place as a woman. It's a really personal, issue. It's something that not everybody gets to talk about. The support that Macmillan can offer today is so much greater than what they offered before, and that was awesome then. But you see the partnership that they have with Boots. Yeah. So if you're a cancer sufferer or cancer survivor, you can go to Boots. They'll help you in terms of makeup treatments, and there's a lot of really good relationships that Macmillan have established to help not just ladies with breast cancer, but that whole
cancer.
People with cancer. And it's not just about people who are suffering. It's the survivors, it's the family, it's the friends. So Macmillan's really close to me. And my family. So that's why I like to keep the relationship with them. If I can help them raise funds in terms of whether it be through Macmillan nurses, whether it be through some of the work that they do to try and find cures, it's whether that it's about some of the lobbying that they might get involved in as well. So for me, Macmillan's really key there. From a marathon point of view this year, as I say, the reason I've chosen Mind, and I'm very keen, finding a charity place in the marathon is really, really tough. You know, it's not something that because the charity organisations, they don't get these places for free.
Yeah.
They have to pay to be able to send someone to run the London Marathon to raise funds for them. Mm-hmm. So you've got to be really committed that what you're going to be able to do is make a difference for them. Yeah. I'm not sure that very many people know that there's an application process you have to go through. So you often have to kind of explain not only, why you want to help them, but why you're a good candidate. Are you someone that's definitely going to complete? Are you somebody that's going to be able to meet the pledge that you make in terms of the fundraising? But for me, mine was about, recognising that headspace, the headspace that I've got through running, mm-hmm. but also the need from a well-being point of view in work to make sure that, I'm a team lead within the organisation. I have people, not just from a peer group point of view, but also, I need to make sure that my guys and gals are at the peak of what they can do. So, if they're going through a challenge at home, it's about coaching, helping them to look after their own well-being. As an organisation, FlyForm is really, really keen to make sure that we focus on those. And obviously, Phil Davis, our CEO, is really, really a big advocate, as is Aaron, in terms of making sure that, mental well-being is at the heart of what we do as an organisation. So for me, again, it's a little bit about, helping those organisations through fundraising, through awareness, to be able to support individuals. I think we've all had times in our lives where, we've needed that extra bit of support. I know I have, I'm quite vocal about the fact from a work point of view, sometimes I struggle with anxiety, sometimes if I've got an awful lot going on from a work point of view, I struggle a lot with the inner critic, and a lot of people do, so sometimes it's just about having those resources there, something to say, come on, you've got this, but also you're not the only one that feels like this.
Yes.
And I think there's a big thing there is not that knowing that other people are feeling the same way takes your personal feelings away, but breaking that down, that barrier of the it's only me.
It makes you feel less lonely, right?
Yeah. But also that you don't feel that you don't suddenly think, well, is it just me? Yeah. Am I the only one? What's wrong with me? Why do I feel like this and everybody else's life is perfect?
Yeah.
And I think, that's an interesting thing for us. We work in the technology sector, but, some of the challenges that we've got in life now through, Instagram and Facebook and all of this, the whole idea of fear of missing out and the need to conform, some of those things can be really, really challenging.
Yeah.
So some, organisations like Mind, what they do, not just in terms of, externally, they're big advocates. They've got a lot of what they want to do in terms of the corporate world and making sure that organisations know how to support their staff on a day-to-day basis, but also if they've got staff in crisis, if they've got people who are struggling with things, you might not necessarily know how you support someone if their family's gone through a miscarriage, or if they're grieving, if they've been through a bereavement, and having those skills within your organisation available to you is really important. So that's why for me, Mind this year, and around the marathon and that headspace thing is really important. And then with the swim, with the children in cancer, obviously, it's great to focus on what we need from an adult perspective.
Yeah.
But, there's people out there, there's families, again, that are dealing with children that are suffering. Yeah. There's children themselves. And, we might be able to articulate how we feel about things as grown-ups. Youngsters, 3,
it's a different
4,
type of support that they need.
Yeah, definitely. So again, the children with cancer, supporting that from a swim point of view.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest. That's going to be my biggest stretch zone.
Yeah.
Doing that 2-mile open water swim.
So SJ, we talked about these 3 events that you have coming up. The first one is in
April.
So pretty soon.
Yes.
So do you have a target for that, for donations?
Yeah, so all of the 3 events together.
Yes.
So my total target is to reach £2,700.
Okay.
So all of that then gets distributed across the charities.
The 3 charities.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have one fundraising page for all of them?
I have one fundraising page for all of them.
Perfect.
Yeah. So I know we're going to share the link for that.
Yes.
And of course, just because it's a target doesn't mean to say that we stop at that level.
No.
So
we want to
kind of, really kind of want to blow it out the windows and kind of, or really get good values. And I'm only going to do this kind of stuff. This is the last time. So, I really want to go out on a high and really make a difference to all of the charities. So, yeah.
And last year we had a really generous community, a really generous team, because every event that we did last year, we smashed through the goal and went beyond.
Yep.
And, a FlyForm also matching donations is going to make that impact so much bigger. Yeah. And one of the things that you did mention that I found very interesting is you've actually experienced Macmillan and its support yourself. And I know that there's some of us who haven't had that experience because of circumstances. But I would really just encourage everybody to donate. And if you have any, and if you want your donation to go to a specific charity, you can always add a note in there. But we'll be sharing everything. Yeah. Helping SJ in this journey and smashing to that 2,700. So more than doubling it. Yeah. That's what we're hoping for. And
indeed. And my mum, my mum's like so integral to this. And I know, she can't run the marathon. She's a, where are we now? 8696. She's a 30-year survivor of breast cancer.
What's your mum's name?
So my mum's Hillary Crew. Hey, Mum.
Hi, Hillary.
So this makes a real difference for her as well. So this is doing it for Mum really. So if I can give back so that someone else's mum or someone else's dad can be helped, that's kind of really important too. Koozie. And bubbles in my face, and that's not through vanity, I could sit there and my gran always made me laugh where she'd come out with her perfectly permed hair, and she'd maybe as kids she'd take us swimming, and she'd be sat there swimming along, but her head was so far above the water,
so she wouldn't get her
absolutely
her hair wet.
So for me, I'm not that vain. You can't have horses and be vain. I'd have straw in my hair and the rest of it. But that's going to be the biggest challenge, I think, for me is not just the ability to swim 2 miles, but the fact that I'm swimming 2 miles in open water. Yes. So I need to have something that's kind of driving me along. Yes. I was talking to one of the ladies here, and I was saying, I'll be fine. I'll buy us, an extra large wetsuit, because you're allowed a wetsuit when you swim open water. I'm going to fill it with bubble wrap.
So you get all warm.
So I'm going to be warm, but I'm so I'm going to be like just floating around on the top of the water, and But so the big thing on that as well is just the fear of the unknown.
Yes.
It's not going to be clear, cool, or it's going to be very cool water, but it's not going to be clear, crystal, warm, Maldivian water. So I'm going to be swimming along worrying about whether I'm kind of, going to catch my foot on a supermarket trolley or
step into something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who else has been, sort of like using the water as the local facilities? So I think that's going to be a real big mind jump, I think.
And it's so amazing because even when we're talking about FlyForm, you live the FlyForm values on a daily basis. When you're working with clients in terms of quality, in terms of transparency, in terms of always giving them that ultimate experience that we talk about. Yeah. But also all of your charity stuff really fits in really well because as an organization, like you mentioned, we care about our community. Yep. We care about making a difference. We have our foundation. We're setting up our foundation. We have big plans coming in terms of that. So it's really exciting that we're able to come together as a company, the company itself, and all of us together to help the community and make a bigger impact. So make big ripples as well. And, one of the things that you mentioned was in terms of well-being and mind and anxiety and all of these things that we're facing. And as a company, what I really love about working here is that anybody from our CEO is not really afraid to talk about mental illness, really afraid to talk about depression, anxiety, because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We're working in a business. We're all human beings, but we're all going to face, challenges in our lives. It doesn't make us bad people or imperfect employees or anything like that, but we're given the opportunity to open up and talk about these things. And for us as managers, it gives us the tools to then, like you were talking about, support our teams, give them opportunities for growth, but also watch out for those signs, right?
Yeah, that's so important. I think sometimes if I could kind of, hindsight's brilliant. I get that, and I know it's a different generation, if you like. But sometimes I do wish that maybe some of the looking for signs that people were more aware of that. Sometimes, I think it's almost. I don't want to say, it sounds contrived to say that every manager should do it, because not everybody's perfect. Not everybody's the same. You get, different people. Some are empathetic, some are not empathetic. You equally don't want to cause stress on someone by saying, you need to be empathetic and you need to be aware of people around you if that's not what they're good at.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. You could be quite introverted and maybe not see it. So I think, skills like that, understanding, being able to not just, I think first to be able to spot it in yourself, but then also to spot it in others, but also know how to help others, because, sometimes if someone's in not a good headspace, the last thing that they're going to need is you bowling in and going, oh, you're looking really sad today. How can I help?
Yes.
It's like, oh, am I? I thought I was doing a really good job at hiding it. So, so I think sometimes that's a challenge, but and you've said, I think we've both talked about it, the guys here, whether it be Phil, Aaron, the team as a whole, they're not frightened to talk about their own personal experiences. Yeah. And I think actually that openness, that transparency, that authenticity as an organisation, I think you sometimes go into client organisations, and let's face it, we're regularly going into client organisations, whether they be an SME, similar to FlyForm in terms of going through growing pains, that, similar size and aspirations, or going into the large corporate world. I'm working with been working with a large government organisation, and you kind of sit there sometimes and you go, I wish you had what we had.
Yes.
That there's someone, we might be in a workshop session with 25 different people, and we really need everybody to contribute. But if you're the introvert in the corner, sometimes that's really painful to see that people are being pushed so far out of their comfort zone. Yeah. And you kind of wish that maybe there was someone in the room that could recognise that and put them in the comfort zone.
And support them in the way they need to be supported, as opposed to one size fits all and this is what you have to do.
Yeah, because we have such a varied stakeholder group. Yeah. And we need everybody's contribution to make the project a success.
Yes.
But we can't, we also don't have the time often to kind of work at their pace. We try and work at the client's pace, of course, but we've got deadlines to meet, they've got deadlines to meet. And I think sometimes if you had that ability to recognise when you've got the right person on the pitch, but give the opportunity for them to maybe take a different approach. Yeah. Their voice is absolutely imperative for you at the beginning of the project, but maybe a one-to-one session with them would be the right way forward. And from a FlyForm point of view, we're adaptable enough, we're flexible enough. We want to do a good job, but we don't want to do it at the cost of your team. Yeah. So, if we need to do things like that, we'll do that. We'll call it out. We'll work it with that flexibility so that, we're getting the best of what we need, but we're also giving your team the best to succeed as well.
That's amazing to get into those customer stories. And I think one of the things too, that to your point, it's also the fact that I feel here everybody's story is always open.
Yeah.
So that people that are not necessarily feeling comfortable kind of have a way to, just have a conversation with their manager, or even with Phil if they don't want to go to their manager. Because Phil is always like, come talk to me.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And I have personally seen, many occasions when we've had our team members going through difficult situations and our leaders have just come in and really supported that person in the way that person needs to be supported. Sometimes it would be training, sometimes it would be money, sometimes it would be time off, or maybe changing their schedule, that type of thing. They do a lot of those things, and it's not only lip service, really, to our values.
Absolutely. Yeah, we live the values. We don't just preach the values.
Yes, so I love that about well-being and mental health here as well. So that's really great. Thank you for sharing your experience about your upcoming events. We're very excited. So FlyForm, as part of our foundation policy, we're going to match any donations that you get.
I know. I was so relieved.
Any of your events. So, obviously here within the company, we're supporting. We're going to be putting out news about how you're doing with your training. You're always really great about sending us pictures about things, and we want to hear about how things are going so we can share them with, with all of our community that we have within FlyForm. And we're also going to add all of the links for SJ's charity funding pages. So anybody who wants to help, and I know it sounds a little bit cliche, but every little bit helps. So
definitely.
Let's try to help her get to her goal and beyond, and then FlyForm will match that, and then we'll keep everybody updated about your progress.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you so much for having me today. It's been really good.
Thank you for coming to talk to me.
Thank you.
Thanks.